Let's get into the whole so we start our afternoon session. We have two presentations and a panel, and then we close the day. We'll be starting in 10 minutes. We just want to give people time to get back and settle down. Then we kick off with our presentations. Those who are still outside, please come in. Let's settle down so we start this afternoon session. Let's settle in. Before we start, let me just remind us, we are having this conversation online, hashtag at Affordable Housing KE, as well as hashtag KAHC 2022. Let's keep that conversation going on social media platforms. You can send your questions via the Woover app. Just log in, go to the specific item, like this will be Thursday afternoon. Drop in your question, let's pick it from there. As we sample the questions from the floor, we shall also incorporate that. To kick us off this afternoon, we'll be discussing micro home loans from pilot to scale. And that conversation will be steered by Mr. Mwangi Githaiga, the Managing Director at KWFT, that's the Kenya Women's Finance Trust. He'll be doing his presentation using this display, and then thereafter, after 40 minutes, we shall have a Q&A so that we have some reactions. Then we get into another presentation, which will be coming from the Chief Executive Officer of CPF, that is Mr. Hosea Kieli. So let me take this opportunity to invite Mr. Mwangi Githaiga to start us off, and then we shall progress from there. We're just getting this sorted and then we start.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First, I'm happy to be here to give an alternative view on the housing issue. And maybe a quick introduction. My name is Mwangi Githaiga. I work for an institution called Kenya Women Microfinance Bank. And I come from a generation that schooled in the rural area and was always looking forward to come to the city and make it in life. And that generation, the first thing, of course, we wanted, the first thing is you buy a big house and you buy a big car as a measure of success. I also am a father, so I also have a generation which doesn't care about housing, but they care about having a big car. If you talk to them about housing, they tell you about something called the Airbnb. So for them, housing is not an issue. You tell them to invest in housing. They tell you there are better ways of investing in housing. Housing is a dead asset. I can rent my house, so I do not care about owning a house. So unlike me, who came from the rural, and they can only prove that I was successful by owning a house and a big car, they only need a big car, they can live a rented house, and that's the generation we are dealing with. However, that's an urban generation, but I also represent an institution that is 80% of operations are based in the rural area, and so the issue of housing is ni maneno ya rural area. So if you think about Kenya, the financial inclusion of Kenya is about 84%. But if you remove M-Pesa, we are about 50% financially included. The majority of the people who are not financially included live in the rural area. And so the issue is we need to look for practical solutions to deal with the majority of Kenyans, because the majority of our people are out there in the rural area. And so there are many theories, and sometimes we even have what people in the rural area will call kizungu mingi. Because when we come to housing, we need to be practical. I know we talk about having cities. They are called what? Smart cities? Smart cities, yes, that one. If you go to my mom and you tell her about a smart city, she will not understand what you are talking about. And yet, those are the majority of the people who are called Kenyans. So sometimes we assume they don't know what they want. Sometimes we assume we have solutions. Sometimes we come up with issues that do not impact their lives. So the question that is now then asked, is there a business case for rural housing? Is there a business case? And is smart cities the way to go for rural housing? In smart cities, my understanding is you get a big chunk of land, you settle everybody there, and you supply them with services, electricity, water, sewage system, and all those smart things that we guys in town imagine are great things. And, you know, it reminds me of the chief's toilet. You know the chief's toilet? The chief told everybody they need a toilet, and so everybody built a toilet. When he came back, the toilet was empty. He asked, why are you not using the toilet? We are born a chief. This toilet was for you when you come. Because you are not addressing the needs of the people. So the housing story is like the story of the bride people who went to the zoo. And they were told, this is an elephant. They were told, you can touch it. When you go home, you'll tell me how it looks like. So when they got home, moja alisema, elephant inakaa kama bakora. Mwingine akasema ni kama a pole, kikingi ya stima. The other one said it is like a drum. So the issue of housing depends on which part of the housing industry are you touching and who do you relate to. So if you relate to guys in the city, housing is about niceties. If you relate with people in the villages, then you are dealing with a different thing. So with that, I'll open my discussion and just say that we work for an institution that supports women, and the institution basically works in the rural area, and 80% of our operations are based in the rural area, and we target women and their families. So we do not discriminate men. We target women and their families, and our mission is to partner with women in creation of wealth, and one of our core values is upholding the dignity of women. And we work with about 800,000 women and their households. If you look to us as an institution, we focus on the triple bottom line approach. Triple bottom line approach means we look at people, that is social impact. We look at the planet, that's the environment, and we also look at sustainability. Okay. I think you've pulled down the presentation. Okay. I think I'm being helped so that we can see it better. So we look at social impact. We look at, and when we look at the social impact, we look at a number of SDGs, the 17 SDGs, and then we look at environment, and we look at sustainability. So when we are developing products and services, this is what we focus on. And with that, we are able to address the 17 SDGs as per requirement. Then, as an institution, we are the first microfinance institution in Kenya and Africa, and among the 3 microfinance institutions to subscribe to the United Nations Global Compact within the network. Then with those, then it will help us to focus on sustainability, support of delivery services to support SDGs. So I don't need to go into details on that because you are very familiar. The main areas is to look at environment, human rights and corruption, and labor standards. Then on the other side, we also have subscribed to women empowerment principles. There are 7 of them, because as a microfinance institution that supports women, it's very, very key that we look at women issues, because women issues are human rights issues, and we know women, out of the excluded people in this country, they are the most affected. I don't want to go into that detail because that will be a story for another day. Then within that, we are the first microfinance in Kenya and in Africa to subscribe to those principles. And these principles were initiated by the UN Global Compact and the UN Women. And mainly they focus on workplace, market, and community. Workplace ni kule kazini wafanyikazi. Then market is the services we give our customers, and the community is how we impact people's lives. We operate in Kenya. These are the counties of this country, but we only don't have presence in 2 counties. That is Wajir and Madera. The rest of the counties, the 45 of the 47 counties, we have our network of offices. So basically, sisi ni bank ya mashinani. We are in the rural area where our people are surviving and doing their business. This is our branch network. I don't intend you to read the boxes, but I just want you to get an impression of how many offices we have. Every box you see is a branch. So when we talk about Kenya, we are in Kenya. When we talk about the rural area, we know what we are talking about, and we have done it for the last 40 years. So our services mainly is savings, credit, we give loans, then we give financial education, and we also are able to participate and give our customers micro-insurance. The subject of the day is home improvement. I notice I have been here since we opened, and we only have been talking about housing. Housing. You know, housing is very interesting when we think about a house. A house is a structure. For us, maybe because we are women, we think about a home, because a house is not a home. There is a big difference. And so when we talk about home improvement, we look at what is a home all about. Sorry. So when you look, the first thing we look at is SDG number 11, and that is we look at micro-housing. And in micro-housing, we are talking about construction, we are talking about renovation, and we are talking about incremental housing. That is building slowly over time. On the other side, a house cannot be called a home until we address issues relating to energy. Because a house that is not energized is not a home. So you look at the SDG number 7, where you are looking at the areas relating to clean energy, lighting, and cooking solutions. Then on the other side, you cannot talk about a home unless you talk about water and how to make sure that water is available and it's clean, SDG number 6. Then in that we are looking at water, we are looking at sanitation, and we are looking at hygiene issues. Then we can talk about homes. Then we start now having a conversation that makes sense for the women and the families in the rural area. So this is what we are talking about. We are talking about this grant is based in a place called Maraba in Western. This was her original house. We do business with her, and incrementally she improves her life. She has moved from that house. That was the second house that we built. If you notice, what she removed is the thatch. This is what is called incremental housing. These are the practical issues we are talking about. Because we said majority of Kenyans live in the rural area. And I'll tell you something. When we talk about smart cities, we better learn to live with the people the way they understand. If you tell your grandmother to move from her ancestral land to a smart city, she will tell you, my husband is buried here. So we need to understand our people. And please, let's not migrate like I did from the rural to the town, and I started assuming that I migrated the rural to town. Hiyo inaitwa kizungu mingi. Let's differentiate the issues relating to urban areas and the rural areas. People in the rural areas are looking to improve their lives. When you tell them that you move them to smart cities, it's the same stories that we used to have when we got independence, and we talked about don't give your children uji, give them serelak. Those stories, over time, we changed them and we said orphaned foods were good. Yams, cassava, millet. Now we are going back to them because of lifestyle problems. Take care that we do not have lifestyle problems when we come to housing. So this grant, that's her home. She went to the second home. That is what now she is in. So incrementally, as she does business, we have financed her to be able to move that direction. This is another client who is based in Matu. This client, when she got married, this is the house they entered. We financed her as she was doing business, not for the house. We financed her business. Business, not business. You finance business. Create wealth. Remember, the basic needs of people are basically three. Food, which is the next one? Clothing, and kama hauna chakula, it doesn't matter where you live. So this is where she used to live. As her life improved, because food means income, she moved there. After some time, she moved to the other house. She is a very proud owner of a home. And in that home, then she feels she has achieved. She lives in Matu. So when we talk about housing, we are talking about rural areas, urban areas. We have missed out the point. Now, this is in Moore Hills in Machakos. I'm sure you are thinking it's somewhere in town, isn't it? That grant, look at that house. But it is done incrementally. She started doing it slowly. She is a businesswoman in Moore Hills. This is not mortgage we are talking about, because mortgage is another story for another day, because you go and find out that this home is built in her father's compound, her father's in-law, who owns the land. He is the landlord, and he has 5 sons. And he is not going to allow you to mortgage the land. But this lady, you can finance that house, and she will pay back the loan without missing it, because she has value for that home. That is another customer in Keroka in Kisii. Then this is in somewhere in Machakos. This client did the first home, that is hers on the left, on the far left, and she did her son's home. Now, when we went there, she was telling the son to get married. Now, those are the issues. Those are the discussions we should be dealing with. If you go a little bit further, you will see this is in Emari, that is in Machakos. This is in Machakos, and that is in Kakamega. This is the kind of story we should be discussing. And I totally agree that an elephant depends on where you are touching. We in towns assume that the problems that we are facing is about other issues. We are dealing with the people who have no access to good shelter. This is the direction. And the way to go is to go it incrementally as people can afford. This is a home in Keroka, and that is a home in Migori. I want to point something, and I like what the people who presented. All these houses you are seeing, most of them are soil blocks. Appropriate materials that are locally available. That house is soil, they are bricks, but they are plastered. The difference between this house and the one in Buruburu is 0. This customer lives well, but this is a house he has done in the village. And we need to start getting practical. Appropriate materials, locally available materials, and locally available artisans. I know we talked about architects, yes? That customer, if you tell them about an architect and the quantities are there, they'll tell you they don't understand what you are talking about. Atakwambia hiyo ni kizungu mingi, too much English. Those are the issues, and these are the practical issues that you left when you came from the rural area before you became educated, and you forgot where you came from. These are the issues, and you don't deal with them, you don't deal with them finally when you go home. These are the issues. So we started this program in 2014, and between that time, we have done finance about 112,000 households. If you look, we have disbursed 6.6 billion shillings to 1,112 households. If you do quick mathematics, that gives you about 60,000 per household. We were talking about 700. We said affordable housing. I had a question: is affordable housing affordable? Then people are like, yes, it's affordable because of. We are talking about 60,000, 100,000 loans that end up doing those houses we are talking about. Incrementally. Those are the issues. So, be like what Wangari Maathai said, the fire is big. You can sit and say you can do nothing about it. You can also come with theories that are only good in literature. But in the end of the day, it is the hummingbird approach that makes the day. Do your bit, however small it is. If we all did this, then we will make a change that we are looking for. We are looking for houses. Let's first stop talking about quality housing. If you have no food, you only don't talk about quality food. You talk about quantity of food. Our people, they have issues. So what are the issues that we face when you do rural housing? One, loan diversion. Of course, unapeana loan ya kujenga nyumba, mtoto hana, the child hasn't gone to school, so the money is used to pay school fees. That's one problem. Second problem, lack of qualified artisan. And I liked what NCA guys said yesterday. They are training people to become good artisans. The next one is lack of quality building materials. We need to work on it. And then lack of reliable building estimate. Because the artisan is, the quantities are there, he's the architect, and he is the one who supervises. He NCA on the ground. And you can't do anything about that. That's how life is on the ground. You know, we usually say, kwa ground vitu ni tofauti. Things on the ground are different from what you think when you are in KICC. You better know that. Those are the issues. Then, of course, lack of funding. If you go on the other side, there are opportunities. If we stop overthinking and stop copying things that we do not understand where they came from. You know, we were visited by the first lady of Spain, and she said one of the biggest problems they have in Spain is returning people back to the rural area. So, are we doing the same thing of moving people to towns, smart cities, and then we have a problem of returning them back? So there are opportunities in the rural area where we can go back and develop. After all, the government devolved. We devolved the government. Why are we trying to centralize? Devolution is the way to go. High population density is there, then we can be able to do decent housing. Then on the other side, we can be able to target customers who are financially excluded, and we can use available materials on the ground. We don't need to import building materials from China. For heaven's sake, what's wrong with us? What is wrong with us as Africans? God gave us enough. What are we looking for? Then, of course, partnership is possible, and employment creation. I don't need to emphasize that when you do housing, you are able to create employment in the rural area. Ukifika nyumbani, when you get home, hakuna mtu, nobody will be telling you, nipe 20, nipe 50. Because people have employment. Then, we said housing is not just a structure. We need to deal with issues of sanitation and water. This is the problem that we have in our place, in our rural area. People fetch water from the rivers. That is the solution. The solution is partner with private sector, finance water harvesting, stop destroying the environment, release people to go and do business and create wealth. That's the way to go. On the other side, we have a problem with dirty water which is not clean. You can be able to partner with the private sector, purify that water, and it's available. These are the small hummingbird stories that I want to tell you this afternoon. Then, this is how you do it. Agree with the private sector. They make tanks for your people. Take those tanks all the way to the villages. Get them at a wholesale price. Cut off the brokers who are in between. They are called retailers. Then give them those tanks, then they pay them slowly. Then with the money, with the time they have, they have now extra, they can go and do business and be able to finance. This is what we do across the whole country. Water tanks. And they are all about the KWFT. There is a lot that we can be able to do. Then, sanitation issues. I don't know whether you know this. If you have never seen this, you've never been to Kenya. Open defecation is still in Kenya. I know you're telling me, hey, Boana, what are you saying? People go to toilets and they flush them. Please, that is only you in Nairobi. In the rural area, people flush in open air. All right? And if you are lucky, you come across a toilet looking like. So when you are inside, your neighbor is seeing you. This is the problem. So upholding the dignity of our people, you help them and finance wash toilets, isn't it? This is the way to go. When you go Geshagi, you go home, at least you have somewhere to. You have something decent. Of course, there is a hole. Okay? Then, cooking solution. SDG number 3, 4, 7, 13. Simple solutions for big problems. People cook with firewood and they write with kerosene lamps. You don't know those things. I know you don't know them because you are all city people. But when you go to the rural area, people will cook with firewood, and in the evening they use a lamp that dances like that. You get an old blanket, put it in a tin, and you have a lamp. But God has given us enough sunshine, isn't it? All we need is our government to remove taxes. I heard the KRA saying that you can apply to the minister of you can apply to the minister for him to give you permission to buy a two writing point lamp for you to put in a house. The government needs to change its narrative. We need to have simple solutions for our problems. Hummingbird story. That's where we are coming from. In that solution is you have writing at home. Children can do research, study, and you can be able to even have a TV where they can follow news using solar solution. Now, are we talking about a home or not? Are we talking? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Simple solutions for our people. Stop kizungu mingi. No too much English. And stop overthinking. You are overthinking. Small problems, you are overthinking. And you like copying things from the West. The West is not Africa. Africa is not West. So, our people, you can tell them not to destroy the environment. That is your story. They will destroy. You are telling them not to cook, isn't it? I better destroy the environment but eat. So, to avoid that, you give them renewable sources of cooking. Reduce the amount of firewood they are using so that they have a home. With this procharge, you get internal air pollution. And of course, the women are the ones who cook. Don't ask me where men are. But when the woman is doing that, it's like smoking a pack of cigarettes. Then we talk about health issues. Of course, the men are in shopping centers looking for money. But we can have solutions that are simple. Sora, SDG number 2, 3, 7, and 13. First, food security. Ng'ombe inatoaga vitu B. Do you know a cow gives you only 2 things? Okay, forget about meat. 3, meat. Then it gives you milk and it gives you dung. The first thing you do, you convert the dung into energy. Then you use that dung as as organic fertilizer. Food security, energy for cooking, energy for writing. Am I talking to people? Are you understanding what I'm talking about? Simple things that make a difference. I know they are nimesimamiwa kidogo, but give me chance. I talk on behalf of the excluded people, and people do not like talking about their issues. I like the Ruto government. They said we are dealing with the Hazara community. These are the Hazaras I'm talking about. People who are excluded. That is the issue. But they cannot be excluded forever, otherwise there will be a revolution. These are the people who are excluded. Community service. Take energy jikos out there so that they use less firewood. Don't tell them not to cook with firewood. On the other side, you can introduce them to gas, cooking gas. They are making homes. On the other side, now you change their lifestyle. These are our clients in the rural area. They look happy, don't they? Good. Look at these ones. They are cooking. These are cooking solutions. Look. Life is changing. Don't think you are the only people who eat sausage. You know, when you go home, you know, you assume you are the best thing that happened after sliced bread because you came to Nairobi. People are changing their lives in the rural area. Life is changing. Life is changing. But we need change agents. And that's what I'm challenging each one of you to stop overthinking. Simplicity, simple things. Solutions are in simplicity. Inventions and discovery are in simple minds. They are not in complicated books. Simple things. Even the people who wrote the books did it from simplicity. So what are the next steps? And I'm about to finish. Just give us time. You know, we are women, we own 52% of this country. So we can use technology to enable monitoring and documentation. We need to document our story. We need to use technology, and we look to partner with people who will be able to help with us with that. The next thing is there is room for strategic partnership. You can't do it alone. You partner with others. We offer finance. We need to partner with people with appropriate technology. Appropriate. You remember Umoja was built incrementally. I don't know how many people are born those days. Incremental. Incremental. We need partnerships. Then we need deepening and scaling in the rural area. That's where the business is. It's not in town. It's not in town. Then source affordable capital. That's why I like KMRC, so that they can give me money to be able to give it to the poor and make their housing affordable. That's the issue. We can't exclude everybody. You can exclude them in financial. You exclude them in then social impact is always to be reported. Then, in this journey, we have not done it alone. We've done it with others. We've done it with the MasterCard Foundation. They've given us a lot of support to understand our people and come up with products. We've worked with Habitat for Humanity to develop these products. We worked with the Kenya government, especially in areas of cooking solutions. We've worked with Microsafe on research. USAID supported us with financing. Water.org with coming up with good solutions for water. And FSD has always supported us. And we are very, very grateful. You can't do it alone, but you need to start somewhere. The story is about the hummingbird. The bird that said it's going to put out the fire with its small beak. The fire was too big, but it still came.
Thank you so much. And don't go too far. I'm sure there are tons of questions from the audience. Let's just shoot up our hands. Quick intro, who you are. One question per person around the financing that we have talked about. He has had a very interesting take. We should do this thing incrementally. Oh, there are none. Oh, that's how straightforward it was. All right.
Thank you very much. God bless all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Asante sana. So that is Mr. Mwangi Githaiga, MD, Kenya Women's Finance Trust, speaking to the issue of micro home loans from piloting to scalability. Thank you so much for that presentation. I'd like to invite on set Mr. Jose Akili, who I just saw join us, who will be speaking to us regarding issues of mobilizing long-term funds to support affordable housing. Karibu sana. Let's appreciate him as he comes to the floor. Or if you can jump here like me. Good. Good.
Thank you very much, moderator. I don't know whether somebody has a presentation for me.
It's being set up. Sorry.
As it's being set up, good afternoon, everybody. Wonderful. You look wonderful from here. I hope you have been having a good day. No, I hope you're not too tired. Thank you. For purposes of the presentation, I'm the CEO of CPF Financial Services, which is a scheme administrator for several pension schemes, and also the current chair of Association of Pension Trustees and Administrators of Kenya. Oh, yeah. I think we have it now. I need a bit of education. How do I move this thing? Let me see. Come on, show me the ropes. Thank you very much. Oh, it's working, eh? Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the discussion is about mobilizing savings, long-term funds for affordable housing. I'm sure our host, KMRC, have done a good job about us describing exactly what affordable housing is, so I don't want to spend time on that. Now, that is us, the CPF group. We have 4 major pension funds we take care of, including the latest one which we have onboarded, which is a 360,000 member scheme for the government called PSSS. So we definitely sit on quite a amount of money. That is us, the association, and anybody who is a trustee in any pension scheme or an administrator, you are welcome to join that association. I think it is the place to be at the moment. If you're not there, you maybe are nowhere. Because we are talking big things there. We are talking big things where we believe we can provide a solution for housing our Kenyans. The same Kenyans my brother who has just left the stage was talking about. In terms of this particular item, the biggest problem which why housing is not being done in the manner which is scalable is basically because of the big problem of funding. And because the demand, I'm very much aware that the demand for housing is there. And the people who can provide the supply actually exist. The developers are there. The missing link, the clue to connect the two is finance. And that is affordable finance as well as patient capital, funds which can be used over a longer period of time. So in most cases, I know we've been depending on banks to provide mortgages and maybe SACCOs to provide short-term loans. But that does not cure the problem. So what we are being asked to, or actually we sort of invited ourselves to this problem by talking to the government as pension funds, is we have funds meant for investment for the future of our members when they retire. But this money is very important money. It has to be ring-fenced so that we don't lose that money. So any investment must be an investment which cannot lose money for our members. Because you can imagine if you are retiring and then you are told, sorry, we don't have your money now because we invested in some houses and the money has not come back. So we can't have that. Senor, we definitely can't have that. So we have come together from the pension sector, SACCOs, banking, insurance, Islamic finance, and even global DFI partners. We are bringing everybody on board to bear on this problem, to provide long-term financing. So we believe that our efforts not only will solve the problem of affordable housing financing, but also will deal with other subsidiary problems. One of the areas we believe we shall really rejuvenate is manufacturing. For the moment you scale up the building industry, you will definitely create value for steel manufacturers, cement, wood, sand, and generally everybody else. And then you have the logistics companies, you have the transport and the banking and the insurance. All of them will be beneficiaries. Of course, employment will be created for the players. So many of the players will come into the question. So we want to say that solving a multifaceted, finding a multifaceted solution is the way forward. And we think when we come into the picture, we should be able to solve this. Now, by working with the capital markets, the pension industry will be walking a well-trodden path, which is already nicely regulated. We believe that we must work with instruments which are capable of being mobilized through the capital markets. And the impact when we bring our resources to bear will be increased access to local currency investments, ease of access to business funding, reduce exchange rate risks, because we're not borrowing too much from outside to do this, managing inflation, and of course, macroeconomic impact in our economy. So, how do we propose to do this? Or maybe we start with what are the key success indicators, or critical success factors. It's critically important to note that the pension industry can support and fund affordable housing initiative in appropriate end-to-end process through a legal entity. Our proposal is that, and which we have shared with the head of state and the entire team in the industry, is that we propose to establish what we call the Kenya National REIT. A Kenya National REIT, which is backed by all major pension schemes and regulators in order to guarantee its legitimacy and adequate funding. So for the first time, we believe we need to really get our REITs market vibrant and moving, as it has happened in other jurisdictions. So we propose that KNR will be the mobilizer of funds from the pension industry as well as the other subsidiary industries like SACCOs and others. And this will aggregate our resources into a vehicle which will deliver the offtake guarantee required by our suppliers. That is the supply side of the market, which is the developers. We will then execute this through a development REIT, a DREIT, which will then be able to support the financing of developments at a scale. On the other side, the development REIT will then transfer to an IREIT, or an income REIT, which will be the off-taker of the housing unit investment vehicle for all capital market investors. So, again, the pension funds will be the underwriters of these DREITs and IREITs. Sorry. Have I gone too far? Sorry. Oh, I was not watching it. That's the problem of Normally I have somebody helping me to do that. Okay. Just a minute. I think I'll get it. Ah, that's where we are. Good. So those are the vehicles, how we shall deliver that proposition. So the proposal is that, yeah, okay. We have our current allowable limit for pension schemes in terms of investing in property under mortgage regulations is about 40%. We also, of course, have 30% being property, direct property investment, and 10% being the instruments which are created, being the instruments which are created to, so we are able to take advantage of up to 40% of our asset portfolio into these vehicles. So in other words, we do, if we have, for example, over $1 trillion in assets, it is then possible that we could actually gradually move our investment from treasury bonds and the other instruments and begin to put up to 40% into this particular portfolio. Now, the idea we have here for purpose of the members' access to also tenant purchase schemes, which we want to promote so that we create a channel of receivables from the tenant purchase, which are securitized. We believe that, yes, if members can be allowed access to 40% of their savings, then instead of giving them as a withdrawal, we want to propose that a small amendment can be made in the law so that this money becomes available to the banks and possibly insurance companies and maybe SACCOs who are providing tenant purchase products. And those particular banks will then provide matching funds. So instead of, for example, if a member has only, is able to get 1 million shillings from his pension fund, because that's the limit of his 40%, then he goes to the bank will provide another 1 million shillings, and this person can qualify for a house which is worth either 1.5 or 2 million at a lower interest. By doing this, the banks will be able to offer the mortgages or the tenant purchases at lower than 8%. And that's a proven fact because I personally have implemented it for my staff. So it's doable. So banks can provide the PACA fund, the support funds, and that means the basket or the envelope is expanded to really lend more money to the members of who are working. Of course, for the public who are not working, then different arrangements have to be made, which I don't want to deal with for now, because most of the pension funds are actually for the formal sector for now. They are for the formal sector, so the savings belong to the members. Now, members must first benefit if they have to support this structure. And one of the things we have also asked is that these members must be given a priority in the acquisition of those houses when they are developed, which are affordable, which are supported by the government. Again, I'm not dealing with the structure of an affordable housing as approved by the government of Kenya, because that I believe has been handled by somebody else. So the members also will be given possibly a discount. We're going to encourage the guys who are saving in a pension arrangement to be able to support their trustees in investing in affordable housing. And they can only do that if they are the primary beneficiaries first, and the rest of their investment can then help the other members of the public. Now, sorry, where are you? Janet? Okay. I hope I've not moved too fast. Yes, you are there.